Hello, I'm Maureen Moody and I'm the Curious Stylist, and today we're going to be going over getting our mannequin prepped for the exam. So in the last video that I did, you got to see me do the haircut on Bertha. I was going to do her, prep her for the exam, and then I completely forgot to cut her. So in the last video, if you haven't seen that, I washed her and then I cut her hair 6 inches long all the way around, and then I cut the back. So if you need to know more about that, just check out the video for this, and I'll link it in the cue card above. But today what we're going to do is we are going to color her. So how we're going to color her is on the exam, they want you to color this right front quadrant and the left rear quadrant. So if you've not been here before, I am taking my American Board Certified Hair Color exam. They break that exam up into 4 different quadrants, and each 4 different quadrants they have you perform a task that they want to see when you're testing. So when you're there, they're going to test you on 4 different scenarios on the head, but they do ask that you prep your mannequin in the right front and the left rear before you even come.
Okay, I used Vario Bond Super Plus, a scale, there's my bowl, my foils. I used 30 volume peroxide. I have a tail comb and I'm using a tape measure. You'll see why later.
So when you're doing this section, you're going to take like thin slices, and the first one I'm going to do is going to be the 1.5 inches, and I have my trusty measuring, and I'm looking at what 1.5 inches of regrowth is, and it's about here. So one of the things that they said when you're doing this is you don't want to pull the hair into the center. You want it to be evenly distributed. So you just want to make sure that you are going through this slowly and you're taking your time. So as you can see, I'm taking about 1/4 of an inch wide. So the next section I'm taking is the 1.5 inch, and I'm going pretty thin with my slice and taking my time, and I'm just gonna put the lightener up and here, make sure I have 1.5 inches. Oh, that's almost pretty darn close. So I'm just gonna eke this up just a little bit more, and I'm making sure that when I put this lightener on, it's really saturated. Because I have a practice mannequin. You'll see you'll see her. Anyway, I'll pull her out. And when I did her foils, I didn't saturate them that well, and there was like hollows in it.
As you can see, I'm applying lightener towards the ends. They want you to work that up to about 3 inches away, so it kind of mimics the 6-month growth. So you're alternating the 1.5 inches to the 3 inches, and you're going back and forth. When I did this, I think that you should try to get at least 10 foils on this section, and possibly 12 depending on the mannequin head that you have. But as you can see, I'm just working through it. I'm being real careful. I've got my measuring tape. I know I'm a little crazy about it, but better safe than sorry. And so you're just working away back and forth, 1.5 inches to 3 inches.
So the practical part of the exam is going to take about 1.5 hours. In the right front quadrant, this part that we're working on right now, the purpose of prepping the mannequin is to get it ready for you to do. They want to see you do a retouch at 3 months and 6 months. They also want to see your overlapping. How do you overlap? They want you to overlap too much, and when you're taking your exam, they're going to be testing your application in the...
We're in the left rear quadrant, And you have to do these foils back to back, about an inch away from the scalp. You're going to want to take pretty small sections, and I worked these backwards. I don't normally work like that, but I find that when I work backwards, I can get more of a precise
my second bowl
edge.
of lightener. I used 30 grams of Vario with 60 grams of 30 volume. I am planning on keeping this on for 4 hours. As you can see, I'm taking really small sections and doing it an inch away from the scalp. So, as you can see what's going on. Now I'm going to take my time and make sure that this is an inch away from the scalp. They said that how you prep the mannequin is going to tell them how you feel about the test and how serious you're taking it. So I really want to take my time because I'm pretty darn serious about this. And I'm taking small sections right here. You can see through them. Okay. So at this point of the exam, I have 3 options that they're going to tell you that they want you to complete. The one option is a bleach retouch. The second is a reverse highlight. And the third is a highlight low light.
And they're doing 3 optional assigned techniques. It'll depend on the group that you have on what technique they decide to group. So, with the book, it starts to lay it out, the criteria of what they want you to do in each section. Really informative. And I've had to read it several times and study it. I think there's so much information in that book. It's hard to absorb it all, so you really need to take your time studying that. And with the back part of the head, and when this is completed, I'm going to take some pictures so you guys can see what she looks like at the end. They want those foils on for 4 hours at least, so they want you to lift it to a pale yellow.
So now I'm just going to flip this back over.
Now you can see that I'm applying a little bit more product. I find that sometimes you just need to go in there and resaturate. This is going to really help to make sure that these ends are nice and bright at the end of the 4 hours. So I'm just reapplying products. I used about 3.5 bowls of lightener.
Bertha is fully wrapped. I'm going to give her 4 hours to develop, and I will get back to you when she is done.
Okay, so you can see that we've lifted her to a real pale yellow, and we're also to the highlights, and you can see I'm going to splay them open so you can see the regrowth and what that looks like. I hope that you liked this video and found that it was helpful. Please like and subscribe.